Joining us now, Chris Thompson, President and CEO of Brand USA. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Great to be with you.
You bet. So you've got this Mississippi Governor's Conference on Tourism is coming up. You're going to be attending that, and tell us about that.
Yes, sir. Once a year opportunity for the travel and tourism industry in the state of Mississippi to come together and talk about all the collective efforts at the local and state level to provide opportunity for travel and tourism to Mississippi. The event was over the last couple of days. I actually spoke this morning to the group and talking about what we're doing at the national level, the exact same thing. But tourism is real important to the state of Mississippi. Nearly 25 million visitors in 2019, spent $6.7 billion and supported a little over 120,000 jobs. So it's a big part of the Mississippi economy.
No question. Well, we were, of course, just down at Cruising the Coast a couple of weeks ago, and what a fantastic event that was. That's got to be one of the bigger, if not the biggest, in terms of number of tourists from out of state that come into the state of Mississippi for that particular event, which is the largest car show, according to USA Today, in the country.
Yeah, that's a great example of great opportunities that are provided in the state of Mississippi for people to come and visit as far as special events go. And then, the destination as a whole has a tremendous amount of natural attractions and opportunities all over the state, which attract those visitors every year. The international portion of it, which is what I'm responsible for the country, here in Mississippi, there's about $185 million a year contributed to the economy from those outside our national borders coming in and enjoying this great state.
Well, how is it going with respect to coming out of the pandemic and perhaps some of the restrictions, travel restrictions being relaxed? What's that looking like right now?
So about a month ago, our federal government decided that the pandemic's not going anywhere, so we need to learn how are we going to live with it, how are we going to move forward with it being a reality for a while. And so they announced that beginning November 1st, for vaccinated international visitors who also provide a COVID test prior to coming and also will comply with contact tracing they already have to do through the airlines, will be welcomed to our borders. And actually, the date that was just established for that to happen is November 8th. And I think we'll learn next week what are all the crossing the T's and dotting the I's as relates to what vaccines will be approved, what do we do with children who don't require to be vaccinated, and other questions as far as implementation that'll need to be provided. But we're excited. Brand USA is in charge of growing international visitation to the United States. Certainly over the last 19 months, there hasn't been any of that at all, very little of that. And so the fact that we're opening our borders and doing it with being respectful of the pandemic and some lingering issues that we'll have to deal with either when we say we're on top of it, whoever gets to say that. This was a big step for our government to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, when you're promoting the state of Mississippi, what do you focus on? What's your elevator pitch, so to speak?
The state of Mississippi, I think, is a great representation of what I would call the South. I was born in Philadelphia, but I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've spent most of my adult life in the state of Florida. I'm a University of Florida grad, a big SEC fan. So I think there's a part about the South that is so unique and very different. And I think that is probably a big part of the culture of the South. And then Mississippi certainly has a great history in all the major significant incidences and happenings that have defined our country over the years. So I think the combination of history, culture, outdoor attractions, special events like you were talking about with the car show, all of that combined that make Mississippi a place that people want to live here and otherwise stay here. And they're now sharing it with people outside the borders.
From an international perspective, is there a particular region of the world that I guess finds that it is the most, with respect to visitors, has the most visitors from that area to the state of Mississippi? Is there a particular region
I can't speak.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
go ahead.
can't
I'm
speak
sorry,
to
Chris.
those specifics. Yeah, no worries. But I would say being located on the East Coast and in the South, with Atlanta as a major hub for the greater Southeast, and then certainly Jackson being a hub here in the state of
Yeah.
Mississippi. A lot of the visitation is going to come from Canada primarily, some from
Okay.
Mexico. And then as far as long haul markets, it's going to be Europe, UK and Europe, who have a propensity to travel to this part of the country and have demonstrated a great interest in not only going to our gateway cities, but through and beyond our gateway cities, because the gateways certainly have a lot to offer, and that's why they're gateways. But as people now realize, there's a tremendous amount of diversity and geography and experiences and people beyond the gateways. And I think the state of Mississippi
Mhm.
has done a great job in putting itself front and center to showcase how unique those opportunities are here in this great state.
Do you spend any time surveying, talking to some of the visitors, international visitors that come into Mississippi? And if you do, well, what sort of feedback do you get? What do you hear?
So we don't do any in-market surveying. We actually rely on what our city destination marketing organizations do here in Jackson, and then of course Visit Mississippi at the state level, and certainly they have a pulse on that. But I think all the things that you would expect as it relates to what defines Mississippi historically, Mississippi from a cultural standpoint, and then all the unique experiences that are here rise to the top. So as far as cities that have an international profile, certainly Jackson is there at the top of the list. Tupelo, I think, also has a decent amount of international visitation. Natchez has a decent amount of international visitation. So I think for most of the folks outside our borders, those are probably the things that rise to the top as it relates to when the state of Mississippi is brought up.
I got you. What about the Vicksburg Military Park? Is that still a visited area, a visited attraction?
Yeah, so I'll have to leave that to my Visit Mississippi folks to speak to the actual numbers, but
Yeah.
those types of things, again, that define what the state of Mississippi means and the general overall story of the United States of America, and particularly from
Yeah.
uh, those military establishments, those historic establishments that have defined that over the years and offer great stories to be told, unique stories that are near and dear to the state of Mississippi, are the
Sure.
authentic and genuine things that people look for when they travel to a destination.
Yeah. So, are you optimistic about the tourism industry in general, in particular international tourism? You feel good about it?
Yeah, I am. By nature, I'm an eternal optimist. I think that for these last 18, 19 months, there's been so many things outside of our control that
Yeah.
prevented us from welcoming international guests, not the least of which is our borders being closed. During this nearly 2 years, a lot of our connectivity, which would be through nonstop, one-stop flights from all points around the world, were either eliminated or cut back. So we have to get that service back so that we can improve and get back to 2019 levels of access. And
Yep.
then we gotta prove to the world that we're ready for them. This is a generational world pandemic that brought the world to its knees, and it's one thing for us to say we're ready, but we have to prove that we are to gain the international traveler confidence back. And I think one of the best things that did that was when our domestic tourism economy opened back up. And I think it outperformed what were probably somewhat negative prognostications on how quickly it would come back. It came back quicker and stronger than anything we had expected. And I think the world is seeing us getting out and about and enjoying what we're asking them to come enjoy. So I think as we understand what protocols and requirements are going to look like in figuring out how to live with this pandemic world, our destination as a whole, the USA, is no less aspirational. So it's never been a demand issue. There's still plenty of people out there that want to come here. All we have to do is remind them why they like the USA, why they like the state of Mississippi, invite them to come back. And then I think when they have the opportunity now, it seems sooner than later, then they're going to come back in quicker and in more powerful ways than I think that any of these prognostications are telling us.
Gotcha. Do you feel like you have a good working relationship with the various tourism outlets in the state of Mississippi, both at the state and local level? Does it work pretty good?
Absolutely. Craig Ray and his team at Visit Mississippi have been great partners. And as I said, Natchez and Tupelo and other cities have been really good partners. So we're looking to build upon the history of those relationships, and they've even stepped up and are looking forward to doing more and different things moving forward. So we're really excited about that.
That's good. It's good to hear. Chris, thanks so much for coming on today. Very insightful. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
You got it.